This is Rhiannon from RT1 Home, and I'm going to share my top 3 eco-friendly gift wrap methods. This is more of a general overview of some eco-friendly gift wrap techniques that I really like to use. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how to do the wrapping, but it's just going to be kind of an overview of each one. I'm just going to jump right in. So the first method that I like to use is furoshiki. Furoshiki is a traditional Japanese wrapping method. There are tons of different methods that you can use, and a lot of them really vary depending on the object or gift that you are wrapping. I'm just going to quickly demonstrate one of the most common ones that really works best for wrapping a square or rectangular object. But traditionally, Japanese furoshiki were used as a gift wrap, a carry bag, a way to transport clothes or gifts, or even a bento box. I also like to use furoshiki to cover ugly plant pots. And the reason furoshiki is very eco-friendly is that it is really using either fabric or cloth that you already have on hand. There's no tape or any other glue used. It's just tied fabric. So materials that you need for using the furoshiki wrapping method would be number 1, your furoshiki cloth. So any square piece of fabric or cloth will work. It can be finished with a hem, or it can be unfinished, so you can just take a scrap piece of fabric and cut a rough square. It doesn't need to be a perfect square. This method is very forgiving. I'm using one of our linen furoshiki. I believe this is a 25-inch by 25-inch size, which is kind of on the smaller side for furoshiki, but again, they come in all sizes and you can make your own as needed. The only other material that is required would really be your gift or box that you are wrapping. So ideally you use a square or rectangular box for this method that I'm demonstrating. It just makes it a lot easier. I'm using a 6x6 square porcelain tray. And then an optional add-on, I'm using some dried flowers that I have available, but you could also do any sort of dried greenery, and then you would need scissors or something to cut and trim what you're adding on. I have a much more detailed tutorial on creating this method that I will link above, and we also have a blog post, but I will link the YouTube above. The next eco-friendly wrapping method I'm going to share is wrapping using a bento bag. In this example, I'm using our silk bento bag that's 11 inches by 11 inches. But again, you can of course use another bag that you have. It doesn't necessarily need to be in this shape, but it would help if it has shorter straps like this so you can make a knot or tie. Again, this looks and probably works best with a square or rectangular box. We're using our garden scissor box that's in a rectangular shape. It's about 9 by 6 inches. And then again, this is our 11 by 11 inch bento bag. And then you can add any greenery. You would need scissors if you need to trim any of your greenery or decorations. This method is probably the easiest just because the bag is already formed, so you don't really have to do a lot of folding. It's just tying a knot. And then of course you can add any sort of decoration. I added a gift tag and some dried flowers, again, because I had them available. Bento bags are similar to furoshiki. Traditionally in Japan, they were used to also transport bento boxes, lunch, goods, gifts, etc. If you are reuse anything that you have available or on hand. But if you are buying new, I do recommend getting something that's made of a natural material. Again, the one we're using is made from dead stock silk. And then like our furoshiki is made from linen. Cotton is great and affordable as well. But please try to avoid polyester or other materials that do not break down. Again, if you're trying to keep this as eco-friendly as possible, it's best to either upcycle something that you have or buy something that is from a natural material. The last eco-friendly wrapping method that I like to use is wrapping with upcycled paper. So upcycled meaning anything that you have that you're reusing and repurposing. I am using this lovely newspaper that was made from the Japanese rice candle brand Dio. They have some really beautiful photographs, and I had some extra from them that they sent me with products, and I just wanted to reuse them. I thought they'd be great as a gift wrap. So for the materials you need, you can use any sort of paper. So I'm reusing this newspaper, but you can also use old magazines, craft paper from packaging, grocery paper bags. Any of those things would work. Again, as long as it's paper and you already have it and you're not buying. If you don't have anything, you could also reuse gift wrapping that someone else had given you. That would also be, very eco-friendly. Any paper that you have available, and then you would need to cut it to size. So you would need scissors to trim your paper. And then we are wrapping our rectangular pruning shears box. This is about 9 inches by 3 inches. And when I wrap this, I used a little bit of glue just to do it quickly. There are wrapping methods, of course, you can use to avoid using any tape or glue. That would probably be the most eco-friendly. But, if you can't, then use what you have. If you already have tape, use tape. But yes, there are wrapping methods where you could also just secure all the folds with your tie, with your cotton twine or jute or whatever wrap you're using. Is another way to secure without using tape or glue. We are also using a tie material. I'm using this cotton twine, and then again I added a little bit of the dried flowers that I had to one of these just to show an example of decorations you can add. For all of these methods, you can add any sort of decorative finishing, and the great thing with using twine or jute, dried flowers, greeneries, whatever it is, or any of the materials. So if you're using cotton, silk, linen, any of those wraps, they are eco-friendly because they actually can be composted and they will naturally break down when you're done with the use, and it will not our landfills. And then another tip for when you add your greenery to any of these wrapping methods, just make sure that, if it's a fresh plant or flowers, dry it out before you attach it to your gift, because you don't want it to, one, stain your wrapping or get wilted, or shed and stain. So it's best to just let it dry out if you can. Some of the benefits of using eco-friendly wrapping would be, number one, it reduces waste. You're using reusable materials or materials that are recyclable or fully biodegradable. 2, it saves money. It saves you money. You're repurposing materials that you already have, ideally. And of course, you're reducing plastic consumption, which is a huge pollution contributor in the world. So most people are aware that, it's just best to try to avoid plastic. And if you do use plastic, try to reuse something that you already have and not buy new. And then lastly, the great benefit of using a lot of these wrapping methods is that your gift recipient can likely reuse, especially if you're using fabric, they can likely reuse it for their next gift or to their next gift recipient. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. And if you like this video, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. Thank you.